So, yeah, what is one of the most impactful slash significant moments of your life?
One of the most significant moments in my life was my decision to change my major from communications to political science. When I was in high school, I really liked speech and debate, and I thought communications would be a good fit for me because it would use those talents as well as there's a lot of job opportunities in the communications field. But when I was doing some volunteer work abroad, I was actually in Portugal. I had some experiences that made me doubt whether communications was the right route for me. So this event that happened that made me change my mind, I remember very clearly. I was going to sleep with my roommate that I was with at the time, and maybe in the middle of the night, probably like 4 o'clock, we wake up and we hear like a woman screaming, and she was obviously being beaten by her partner. I heard skin on skin impact, and it really frightened me. I had never really been exposed to that kind of domestic violence before, and all I could think of was that I wanted to do something. I wanted to help her. I wanted to make sure that everyone was safe. And I turned to my roommate and I told her, like, hey, like, we need to call the police. Like, this isn't okay. And she turns to me, and she had been in Portugal for longer than I had. She turns to me and she said, oh, they're not going to do anything about it. And I had only been there for like a month, 2 months, so I didn't really think anything of it, and I just kind of trusted her. But that was kind of a really hard moment for me, feeling like this poor woman was helpless and she couldn't do anything. And I knew in that moment that I wanted to put myself in a position where I would be able to affect change and give people legal opportunities to get out of those kinds of situations and kind of help the world be a better place. I've come up here to kind of contemplate some of the more, some of the harder things I've been through in my life. So, back when I was in Portugal and I was being exposed to all this domestic violence, I never thought like anything like that would happen to me, and I was wrong. It did happen to me. And
What do you mean by it did happen to you?
I was in a relationship that was abusive, both emotionally and physically. And it's really taken a toll on sort of my emotional health and how I see the world. But at the same time, I'm grateful, not that that happened to me, but that I now have a reference for what that feels like to be helpless and kind of in a situation where you feel like there's no option, like there's no escape.
With whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, so I got out of this abusive situation at the end of August, so it was fairly recent. And I still have a ways to go in my recovery because I'm dealing with some trauma, and there have definitely been some triggers along the way. Sometimes I feel really uncomfortable around men. Like recently, I had a situation at work where I felt really uncomfortable and my heart was beating really fast. Nothing happened, but it really shook me. And that was really scary. And I don't think before my abuse I would have been quite as scared. So I just think that navigating relationships with people has been more difficult. And living daily life has been slightly more stressful. But I'm really confident that things are getting better and that I have a really good attitude about my recovery and that I have really high aspirations for the kind of person I want to be. I've been focusing a lot on meditation and being mindful. I think mindfulness is really helpful because it allows you to stay present. I actually do a meditation group every week, or at least I try to. I like to spend time in nature. The more I focus on trying to be mindful, the faster my recovery will be and the better I'll feel about myself and my situation.
So the question is, so after having your own personal experience of abuse, what emotions and thoughts do you have in relation to that experience you had in Portugal?
I hadn't thought about the experience in Portugal really until I experienced my own abuse. It was really important to me at the time, and I remember it impressed upon me, like the importance of helping women and being in a position where you could be supportive of them. But for me personally, I kind of stopped thinking about it until recently. And once, because at the time I thought, oh, this will never happen to me. Like, I know the red flags. I know how to watch out for people like that. But apparently I didn't. And so I think that abusive situations can happen to anyone. And I think that was an important lesson for me to learn, that, like, I'm susceptible to having those things happen to me too. And so since then, I've kind of really thought about how common it is and how important it is that people are also aware. I think it's important for everyone to understand what these relationships are like and how frequently they occur, so that friends and family can be supportive of these people as well.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. What gives you hope?
I think I have a really positive attitude. I think that gives me hope. I think that I have the ability to take anything negative that happens to me and turn it around and say, okay, what can I do with this experience? And so that really gives me hope, because I have the confidence that I can go through anything and that I can make it be to my benefit, that I can learn something from it and use it to help other people. And so that makes me really happy that I have that kind of attitude, because it allows me to be happier in my day-to-day life and to feel more confident and more humble about myself and my experiences.